Hey, and welcome back to the Fully Booked Photographer podcast. It's hot and sweaty here.
How hot and sweaty is it, Ronan?
It's very hot, Brad. Here in Spain, I'm not wearing my cap, Brad. Did you notice?
I can tell.
It's too hot to wear my cap, and I wear my cap everywhere. I told you the story one night. Susan nearly had a heart attack. So I go into the bedroom, right? And I strip off fully and go to get into the bed, and I'm still wearing my cap. And she looked at me and she went, "What are you doing?"
Oh, Lord.
Welcome, everybody.
Now that I have that visual in my mind that I'm going to try and erase for the next 30 minutes.
A naked Ronan with a cap on.
You didn't have socks on too, did you?
You should come for a boudoir, Ronan. Well, we'll do your boudoir with your cap.
Yeah.
Nothing on just the cap. It'd be like the full Monty. You can hold
I was
it
just
in
going to
front
say
of
it's the full Monty.
Yeah, you can do the full Monty with your nice hat.
Oh, gosh. Right, we better get down to a bit of work, I guess, guys, or not a bit of work, but a conversation about how photographers can fast-track their success. Jonathan, I think you're going to host this one.
I believe so. We just decided that 30 seconds ago, so let's see how this goes. So yeah, we've just, at the time of recording this episode, released our... Actually, at the time of recording this episode, we've hired a new employee.
No, we don't have employees. We have team members.
Sorry, we've hired a new team member, and she's going to replace Brad. And her name is KCB. So KCB, Ronan, is actually not a real person. KCB, I probably heard her feelings name. KCB is our new AI marketing wizard bot. Ronan, do you want to just give the background of where KCB came about, how we named KCB?
Yeah, sure. So KCB came from...
It sounds like you're saying KCB.
KCB.
Just for reference, her name is Casey, and I series
C-A-S-E-Y.
This is a great podcast episode.
So, Casey, C-A-S-E-Y-B is her name.
Yes.
And where KCB came from was we've had our clients in the Fully Booked Photographer have so much success. Like we've had clients who are starting to approach 7-figure sales from the leads they generate from Facebook using what we teach in the Fully Booked Photographer. But one of the biggest challenges we see, not just in the Fully Booked Photographer, everywhere, is that photographers struggle to understand who their ideal client avatar is. So, and if you take it that your client avatar is the foundation to all of your marketing, if you don't get that right, how can you write? Let me tell you this. Let me explain this. So let's say you have a new girlfriend who you've never met, right? You never met her, but she's your new girlfriend, and you want to write her a love letter. And you've never seen her, but she's your girlfriend. How would you write that love letter to her without visualizing who she is? Like, you just can't do it, right? And I might sit that answer half an hour because we never rehearse what we're going to say on our podcast. That's what makes them so great. So the same thing applies here. So the same applies here. If you try and market to a client that you don't know and you can't visualize, well, then how can you create messaging that's going to connect with that client? You can't. So, we see some members coming in to the Fully Booked Photographer, and we have our framework for identifying your ideal client avatar, which is our Wish, Hope, Fear, See framework. But it's a lot of hard work, Jonathan, to do that, right? And many of our members are impatient, so they skip that step. So they learn how to create our ad copy formula that Brad teaches and all that, and some of them just copy and paste it, and that's great. But here's the challenge with all of that. The challenge is that if you're just copying someone else's ad copy and they're not your ideal client, what are you laughing at, Jonathan? And they're not your ideal client.
You can hear all the kids at the swimming pool.
You can hear the kids at the swimming pool. Well, it just proves that I'm not lying, right? That I am here in Spain. So looking out on a beautiful pool. But we won't go there. Let's bring this back to the proper conversation. So you guys are hilarious.
Prove it. Show us the pool. Show us the pool and not real. He's lying.
I think he has a fake soundtrack to pretend that he's at a pool.
That's it.
He's pretending he's successful.
It's like renting the fake private jets.
Yes.
Yeah, good one. Funny. So let's go back to this. This is important, right? So it is really important. You guys are laughing, and this is the most important thing that you can do for your marketing, is create your client avatar. But it's hard work, right? And most people don't finish it. So what we've done is we've taken our framework using our expertise, and we've trained an AI, KCB, that will help walk you through that process. And not only will she help you walk through that process of creating your client avatar, but then when you've created that client avatar, she'll help you create your ad copy based on that avatar to generate the leads on your Facebook ads. So that's sort of the background. But why do you think, Jeanine, photographers struggle to do this client avatar piece? And in fact, those that do it often get it wrong, where they focus on the demographics.
Can you mute your mic while I'm talking? Although my client avatar is people with young children. It is funny. Like when I go out to restaurants, the last thing I want to hear is screaming children. I think maybe it's because I photograph them all day and have my own, that when I go out to relax, it's the last thing I want to hear. But anyways, so I think a lot of photographers struggle with this because they don't think about it in the correct context. I think we've been, and I faced this in the beginning too, because all the training I ever got on who was my ideal client came from networking education. And it was like local workshops that I took through different networking organizations on how to talk, how to market, how to talk to your ideal client. And it was all demographical, all physical. Like what school does your ideal client go to, and what kind of car do they drive, and where do they eat breakfast, and where do they shop for their clothes, and things like that. And so it was all very, it was a start. Don't get me wrong. It actually helped me really start to try and think of that concept of who am I marketing to. But it never really got into the emotions of who that person was and what actually drove that person. And so I think a lot of people struggle with that. They're like, oh yeah, I know my ideal client. It's a woman who drives this type of car, and her kids go to this school, and she lives in this zip code, and she has a Louis Vuitton bag and wears high heels, whatever the case may be. And they focus so hard on, she has red hair and blue eyes, and and all of the things that are easy to describe who your ideal client is, but they forget. And they haven't learned. It's not their fault. They just haven't learned or been taught what truly makes who your ideal client avatar is work for you in your marketing and your advertising. And so that's why they just haven't been exposed to what it truly is. And I think that's why people struggle with it. Plus, it's hard. It's easy to describe somebody. That's the easy part, right? Oh, sure, I can describe my ideal client. But getting to their why, getting to their pain points, getting to understanding truly who they are is difficult. And it's a little bit more of a challenge. And so when things get to be a little bit of a challenge, we tend to go for the easy solution as opposed to really working through the work it takes to figure out all of the aspects of who our ideal client is so that we can market to them.
Just to come in on that a little bit, I was sat answering the same question that Ronan asked you in my own head, thinking about, what's my opinion? And I think that a lot of photographers struggle with ideal client avatar because they've never had to think about it. I think having to know your ideal client avatar is a very modern problem in marketing. Decades ago, thankfully my studio's been around like 46 years. Decades ago, there was no you didn't go into this detail, yet we still ran a successful business. We didn't understand the emotions. We didn't understand the bigger problems. I think marketing now is much more laser focused than it was decades ago. I think now you have to know who your client is because you can actually speak to them. You can create content. You can run ads. You can actually speak to that person far easier than you could 10 years ago, 20 years ago with pop-up stands or in trade shows. You could see them face to face. Now, having a clearly defined client avatar is paramount to success in marketing. I think most photographers struggle with it because they've had success without having a client avatar. They've had decades of success being a successful photographer, just knowing, yeah, I shoot families. That's my avatar. I shoot families. Families with 2 kids. Done. Avatar done. Because they've not had to go deeper because the way they were marketing then, it just wasn't as required as what it is now. I think an avatar now is essential to successful marketing because you need to know who you're talking to because you're in a crowded marketplace. You need to speak directly to that person.
So do you think someone newer coming into the industry has an easier chance at understanding this than someone who's been in it for a while and they have to change their mindset?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. You know, because
Why?
I ran a business that was successful without understanding who my client avatar was for a good 5 years. For half the time, I've been running the studio now a decade. For a good 5 years, I ran it without really knowing. I just knew that I photographed boudoir, so I was after women 35 plus because it's easy. It wasn't until more exposure to it did I understand. And you're looking at the women that were coming in and what we were helping them achieve. Then it dawned on me that, okay, so this is our client and this is how I can market to get more of that client. And this is the problem that I'm solving as a business. So I think if you're just starting out fresh now, then it's easy. You've got no bad habits. You've got no unlearning to do. You don't have to think that, oh, well, I did it 20 years ago. I didn't know this. I was running my business 20 years ago and it was working fine. Why do I need to know this now? But I didn't know it then. And marketing's changed.
But was it working well, right? I understand that you had a really successful business, right? But you had to do a whole lot of sessions at the average you were then compared to where you are now.
Oh, yeah, but that's not... That wasn't a marketing or problem shift. That was a mindset shift into the business that enabled us to earn more by doing less. That wasn't a focus primarily down to just avatar.
No, but it was a result of the avatar as a result of that. So if you're going to solve a problem for your clients, you need to understand your client as to how to discover their problem that you can solve.
Yes.
And by solving that problem, then they invest more with you. So and I know you did this a little bit in reverse, and what we've done and what you've done and what the mentor team have done is, we've downloaded our brains into this framework that we've trained the AI in now to be able to capture it, which basically fast tracks anyone who uses a success so they don't have to go through the learning process you went through to discover who your ideal client avatar is. Maybe you could talk to that, that journey of how you spent your time discovering your ideal client avatar for boudoir, and how that came about and how this is going to save them having to go through that process.
Yeah, like to touch on the first point you made, like starting afresh with this knowledge of avatar will help because you instantly know what problem you're solving for people. So you instantly have far greater leverage than just thinking you're a photographer and you're taking pretty pictures. Because you understand what your client truly wants. If you know what your client truly wants, you can actually deliver to them and get rewarded for that on the back end far greater than you ever could without knowing that information. So and that goes to Jonathan's point of view. It's why I think it's easier now if you've never done anything and you're completely new to it, and you can. This avatar creator will help springboard your business because you actually have a really better and clear understanding of who your client is and what you're in the business of. Because we're not in the business of taking pictures. That's just part of what we do. But yeah, so my own studio, I knew my avatar to like the base demographics of, what gender are they? What age are they? Where do they live? Where do they shop? Real basic demographics, which is when we teach our audience how to create audiences on Facebook, that's essentially all you use. But then it's the people that those ads attracted. And then it's just exposure through doing hundreds of those experiences and understanding why the women were coming in, just painted a better picture of the avatar that we were serving, of the type of clients we were serving, and what we wanted more into the studio.
So Brad, when you discovered your ideal client avatar, and now our members who use the fully booked engine can use KCB to create it in less than 30 minutes. When you discovered yours, which took a longer process than that, how did your marketing messaging change? How did your Facebook ad copy change, or did it?
So I really had this epiphany in like 2016, because I remember having the epiphany, and I did a talk for a local photography group in 2017 in February that I remember it went over everybody's heads, because I was talking about problems and that we're here to solve problems, not to take pictures. So that the impact it had on my marketing, the language, not an awful lot, because I was running Register Twins at the time, and I like that language. Those offers are strong enough to generate leads without me niching down. So I was still getting leads. What it changed was the mindset in how we handled those phone calls, and to see that bigger picture, and then that led me to create content. So I started to create content with my mum. So we started to film common objections. And we started talking to our avatar. We started talking to the benefits of having this experience, which then led to me running the Everyday campaigns, which we teach members how to do as well, to drum up and build audiences and create content. So it didn't change my language in the ad copy, but it changed strategy in the business and in how we marketed.
So Jeanine, same question to you. So you've identified your ideal client avatar. I'm not sure how long it took you, but give us the background into yours and how you went about that process of discovering your ideal client, and then how has your messaging changed or stayed the same since doing so?
So my discovery was a little bit interesting too, because when I first started off, when I realized, I'll go back to when I just started really focusing in on babies and children. So I was drafting it blind, and I was thinking, okay, well, who has the ability to come take baby portraits and children's portraits? And so at first I was thinking stay-at-home moms. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. They don't work, so they can come to the studio during the weekday. Because I was, thinking, how can I not work on weekends and, make it work for me? And so I started attending play groups and like stroller strides. And there's these different organizations that stay-at-home moms take their kids to. And so I started displaying at those, attending those, and started booking sessions from those types of events, and quickly realized was not my ideal client. Because there's something like, and I'm not saying that stay-at-home moms would never be a good client, but I'm just saying in whole, for me, I found that stay-at-home moms have a lot of time. They have time to spend with their kids, and they're with their kids all day long. And so they turned out to be ones who were more wanting to scrapbook, because that was part of their daily activity with their kids. They were taking a lot of photos of their kids, plus they didn't have their own money, right? And so they were solely reliant upon their partner's income and had to get permission on what money they were spending. So none of those things really worked into spending a lot of money in photography at the studio. And so what I ended up finding through this process, as I started getting, I forgot the book that I had read at the time, and I'll think of it by the time that I'm done. But I had read this book, and it was Pumpkin Plan. And it was how to go about figuring out who your ideal client was. So, I mean, I did this. I had a map. I had pins that I was going in and figuring out where my most spending clients were coming from, what they did for professions. I interviewed them. I took them out for coffee. I mean, I did everything Mike McCallowitz said to do in that book, because I was like, how can I figure out, like, this is not working for me. Like, something is wrong. And that's when I kind of had the epiphany that it was all of the women who spent a lot of money this year, they were actually, most of them owned their own business. So a lot of them were independent working women who spent a lot of time away from their children and not all day with their children. And so photographs for them became so much more important because it allowed them to be with their kids during the day, even though they weren't with their kids during the day. Plus, and this is a big plus, they didn't have time to do it on their own because they were working. So these are the same women who hire people to clean their house, the same women who hire people to do their cooking, you know, like all these different things that you do when you don't have the time to do them yourselves. And so hiring a photographer is something that you would also do. So it was really through Pumpkin Plan that I went on that journey of trying to figure out not only, and for me too, it was not only, and this is one of Mike's things, is not only who pays you the most, but who do you enjoy working with? And he has you do those two different grids, right? And so I found I really connected with the working mom because I'm a working mom. And I didn't connect as well with stay-at-home moms. And so for me, it was that perfect marriage of, oh my gosh, I get this woman is me. And I can easily speak to her. I can speak to her pains because I have the same pains. And so it was a huge light bulb moment for me and a big transformation. All of my marketing changed at that point. I mean, I pulled out of all of those stay-at-home mom groups and exhibits and advertising to all those places because it was bringing me frustration. It wasn't bringing me sales. And when I had that realization, then started trying to figure out where is it that working mom, this is before Facebook, of course, right? So I didn't have a way of marketing online to those women. So I was like, where do these women go? Like, where does a working woman go, you know, that I can market to? And so then it was a struggle trying to figure that out. Like, what is it that she does? And what other businesses does she also frequent so that I can partner with them to market to this woman? So that was a huge turning point for me when I actually realized who that woman was. And then I could speak to her pain, which I knew very well because it was my pain.
Interesting. And do you find that by speaking to them, it helps to attract people like that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I can speak to the, that, and we've talked about this before in the podcast, that mommy guilt, right? And actually I did find out through all of this that stay-at-home moms also have mommy guilt. Mommy guilt is there no matter what you do. I just happen to understand the working mommy guilt more. And so it was easy for me to be able to speak to that. And so I could write to that. Back then I was blog posting. So that's how I was writing for it. I was writing blog posts that spoke to this, what you can do with your children when you're not working so that, and things like that, like quick, easy things. So I blogged about it back before writing ad copy about it. And so it was an easier transition. Like I got it when you guys started teaching me how to write ad copy, and Jonathan and I went on this journey, was it 4 years ago now, to write ad copy for first birthdays. It really clicked. I was like, well, I know her pain. She probably missed her child's first step because it happened at daycare, so I understood it, and it was easy for me to put myself in that mindset to write for it.
Jeanine, do you remember when we first started working together and I built your first funnel and it was like the ugliest thing of all time?
Oh God, it was horrible. It was so bad. I remember Ronan was like, what is this that you guys are putting together?
I had to get a designer to design it out for me.
Yeah.
It was just so bad. But then we met Brad and we saw Brad's funnels and we were like, holy shit.
These are even worse.
I wouldn't say worse, just as bad.
No, they were worse.
But here's the difference. They worked for Brad. They generated them leads and earned them conversations. So, which is another point of proof in this whole piece is because we're visual people as photographers, we often get caught up with the visuals when it's the words that make the difference. Like, people communicate through words. The reason why the four of us are here together didn't start because of a picture. It started because of a conversation.
So, Brad, I have a question for you.
Shoot.
And I'm not sure how you're feeling about answering it yet. Because you've been running some tests. So you wrote we created an avatar for, you're starting to run some pets in your studio, right? So we created an avatar for using KCB, the AI, for, the dog photographic experiences, and we used KCB to write some ad copy for it. And you decided to take the ad copy that the AI wrote, with our strategy built in and input, and test it against non-AI written ad copy using the same strategy. How are they performing against each other in terms of results of generating leads?
I'll tell you, Jonathan, I'm looking at it right now. So on the non-yellow box ad, it is all AI generated. And on the yellow box ad, it is 75% me.
So as a totality.
So out of 25 leads, 16 are AI, 9 is my ad copy.
So they're both your ad copy, Brad.
Technically,
because it's using the formula. But what is the difference between the ad copies? What does the AI do slightly differently than, say, your ad copy? Is there any difference?
Yeah, no, it's more aggressive. The AI copy is more aggressive. So when you read it, the AI, it goes for that liver punch. It goes in. It hits hard and fast. Whereas when I'm writing the copy, I wouldn't write that because I would think that's too harsh. Yeah, doing a test like this, it's really easy to just be like, okay, yeah, let's use the AI and use non-AI or human or cyborg, because the AI is part me, part robot, so it's a cyborg. But so it's interesting, yeah. So the AI tends to write things that's harsher and uses language that when I read, I go, "Ooh, I changed that." But I thought, I'm not going to change a thing, and I'll just let it run.
So the good news is, based on that the good news for our members is that with KCB, they're getting basically Brad in their business writing their ad copy enhanced by AI. They're getting cyborg Brad.
Yeah, I mean,
how amazing is
but who would think that? Like, I would think something the AI wrote would be harsh. That's not like, that doesn't sound like me at all. But
yeah, I guess my view on this is, like, when we set out this process, we never expected KCB to produce the ultimate in everything, right? And she won't, right? We want it to be an 80% starting point, right? But we ran this test because we test everything before we give it to members or give it to photographers, right? So we ran this test just to see what the difference would be. And what Brad has really said is, he pretends to be not human, and that he's fearless and all that sort of thing. But the AI sort of agitated the problem just that little bit more. And so far, and it won't happen like this every single time, but for this particular campaign, it's generated slightly more leads. But Brad, the AI is just is taking all the learning from you and Jonathan and everything else to create this. And for me, it's a great test, right? To see, does it do what we've designed it to do?
Yeah, that's a good important point to remember for everyone. This is not AI with zero knowledge. We've spent months taking our strategy that we've developed and that Brad spent hundreds of thousands on, and Jeanine and myself with the ad copy formula, and we've trained it for months. This is not just a random AI bot saying, go create ad copy for me to generate leads. This is the Fully Booked Photographer powered by AI. The Fully Booked Photographer team powered by AI. That's how I view it. But it's great news. Imagine, guys, if you used the Fully Booked engine and had access to KCB, and you could create your ideal client avatar in 30 minutes and then create your ad copy in another 10 minutes, so less than an hour, you're ready to go with proven ad copy that's going to attract more of your ideal clients. How amazing would that be?
It's actually a game changer for the industry. It really is. Photographers no longer have an excuse not to be fully booked. Photographers no longer have an excuse not to have their calendars full. Photographers no longer have an excuse to say, I don't earn what I desire from my photography business. It's gone, guys. You no longer have an excuse.
Wow. That was very forward. The AI is rubbing off on Ron. The AI's personality.
The sun's getting to him.
Take him inside. Put his cap on.
But it's true, even if you look at it from the standpoint of sometimes writing our biggest enemy is a blank page, and that blank page is now gone. It's gone.
Used to take me a day to write an ad. A day. I remember. I remember new ad days. Take me a day to do the thing. Sorting out the landing page, doing custom conversions, sorting out all the pixels, writing the copy, rewriting the copy, thinking if it's good enough, looking at all my previous tests. Yeah. Half hour, done.
So guys, if you're listening to this podcast, here's a challenge for you, right? So why did we call KCB? Why is the AI called CASEYB? So the C stands for Client Avatar Creator, which is the foundation to your marketing. And A stands for Ad Copy Creator, which is the second piece. So if you guys can figure out the rest, please do send us a message within our Facebook group. And you never know, there might be a prize for the winner who figures out what the S, the E, the Y, and the B stands for. Because they're coming soon on top of what you can already get from KCB and the Fully Booked Photographer and this mentor team. It's being programmed with our knowledge to help you fast track your marketing, become fully booked, to earn what you want from your photography business, what you desire. Finally, you have a workable solution to create the business you desire, to create a successful business defined by you, whatever that might be. Whether that's multiple 7-figure studios or to get to a 6-figure sale. There's none of them sales a year. There's none of them better than either, right? And anything in between. But you now have the tools at your disposal, the expertise at your disposal to make it happen.
All right, guys. So if you loved this episode, make sure you like if you're watching on YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast, share it with your photographer friends. Many photographers have many friends, so if you found value in it, please share it. And if you would like a free trial of the Fully Booked Engine, the Fully Booked Challenge, where we teach you how to become fully booked, and you also get access to our wonderful new AI team member, KCB, go ahead and click the button and sign up for the challenge today. That's it for the Fully Booked Photographer team. Bye from me.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody from sunny Spain.
Goodbye. Go sign up for some free stuff.